As always here at the Pig and Whistle Inn in Stormwind, I go for a variety of subjects with regards to World of Warcraft. So grab a bottle or a pint, sit back and enjoy. Today's subject, we're going to be going over the Mage Tower. What is it? What can you do? And what rewards and challenges there are, stuff like that. Obviously, we will start with the weekly, the retail weekly stuff. So the world bosses for this week are Aronamonas. I swear I say that differently every time. And Morgeth. So 1,000 anima right there. Get your conduits and stuff like that. The brawl for this week is South Shore versus Taran Mill. This is a 40 versus 40. Just kill as many horde as you can. And when a team reaches 175 deaths across the entire board, then they lose the battleground. It's very simple, very chaotic, and your PC will blow up if you enter this battleground. So do it at your own risk. The weekly for this week, as it were, is Arena Skirmishes, and it is still Legion Timewalking. So you get more honor for skirmishes and stuff like that. And we have the Feast of Winter Vale that has started. Yeah, but while this episode goes out, it has started. So check out all of the things around the capital cities, the little snow globes that turn you into a Santa's little helper and stuff like that. And it's good fun. Another thing that was secretly put into the game, I will say this, for Aronamonas and Morgeth, you get conduits, but you can now buy conduits from the vendor near the Flight Master in Oribos. This is where you buy the anima for your ults and stuff like that. It will grant you every single conduit, as well as bring it to item level 200, and you can send these to any character on your Battle.net account. So that went under the radar. That was a change that was implemented under the radar. I didn't necessarily know about it. I just found it out today, I believe, the day of this recording. So yeah, it's quite a nice little change. And we will be going over a question that was sent in. This one's quite a big one, and it might be one that I come back to another time. But the question that was sent in this week by a viewer was, what spells would you like to see return or stay, and why? Now, the game has had so many spells taken out of it. It's had so many spells given to it and then ripped away. But there's ones that come to mind that I want to stay first. I spent hours upon hours looking for an entire list of spells. I found them, but unfortunately there's about, I think, 20,000 plus spells. So clicking through 50 at a time is very challenging, especially when it's including all NPC spells that aren't available to the caster or the player. So I'm going to need to do a bit more research on that. But there are some spells that I know I would love to see be kept into the game. Now, these are very much Shadowlands specific spells, and more specifically Covenant spells. There are some Covenant spells that I really do enjoy and I find really fun to press compared to other Covenant spells. So the first one, and the most obvious, is Convoke the Spirits. Convoke the Spirits is a 2-minute cooldown, and it casts 16 spells in a 4-second duration. Four spells every second. That is so much fun to see your character just go absolutely crazy and lighting up like a firework in the night sky. It's absolutely amazing. You can one-shot people with it. It can do so much damage, and yeah, it's just so much fun, and you feel a lot of satisfaction pressing this ability. So I would like it to stay, maybe in a sort of nerfed form, maybe 8 spells over the course of 2 seconds, something like that. I don't know. But I would hate to see this spell go, because I think it's so unique that it brings so much joy to those who press it, and it brings so much pain to those who are on the receiving end of it. But the thing is, if you're on the receiving end of it, you might have something that you can press. If you're a paladin, bubble, trinket, kick, it can be interrupted in so many ways. that I think that they could find a way to balance it out and bring it into the mainstream spell book for druids. Another spell that I do find really fun is Divine Toll. I find it very fun, especially when I'm far away from the target and I'm using it as a sort of filler spell while I'm cavaliering towards my target, my kill target, because it generates holy power so that I can use Templar's Verdict when I hit the target, when I get to them. I can use it as massive burst when I'm already at the target to give them no sort of reaction time. It's just a fun spell. It's fun to see all of the judgments flying out from your hammer and hitting your current target and all the targets around you as well. It's very fun to see. Wild Spirits is one that I would also very much like to see kept in the game, mainly because it's not a broken ability. It's quite a fun ability visually if you don't play the class, and I believe that the class will also have a lot of fun with it, mainly because there's not much in terms of AoE for hunters compared to other classes, so Wild Spirits really does make up for that, and I think that, just visually it looks amazing, and I think that it wouldn't be anything groundbreaking if they put it into the game. It's basically Volley from WoW Classic, but just actually good, and it's just got a nice visual. It's very simple, but it's very effective. Mind Games. This one will be very controversial because I hate the spell at the same time. I play Druid quite a lot, and with Druid you usually have a conduit that heals you called Well-Honed Instincts, and if a Mind Games hits you as the conduit procs, you kill yourself basically. So what Mind Games does is it will deal initial damage and then it will put a debuff on the target where if you deal damage to the enemy, you will heal them, and if you heal yourself, you will deal damage up to a certain amount. And this certain amount really does hurt you. You can kill yourself with Mind Games. I have done so many occasions on just bad timing, it being applied as I press a massive heal or something like that. It happens. So Mind Games is a unique spell, and I think that there is room in the game for it, and I think that it kind of suits the priest. I think it suits priests really well, especially discipline priests. I think it suits them perfectly. So I definitely think that there is room in the game for Mind Games. And the last one that I will say is Conqueror's Banner. Now, this one is the Necrolord Warrior Covenant ability, and all you do is equip a banner on your back. That's it. That's literally the spell. So when you pair this with your biggest DPS cooldown in Avatar, you grow to twice the size of your height, and you really feel powerful. You feel like an unstoppable machine, to be honest, when you use Avatar and War Banner, because you've grown 2 times your size, you're doing about 2 times as much damage, and you're just trucking through everyone's HP. It's great fun to see. It really is good fun. So, yeah, I would definitely say that Conqueror's Banner in some way would be utilised. I think you could put it as a PvP talent over War Banner for warriors or something like that, but I think it would be very fun to just have in the game. So these are the spells that I would like to see and keep from Shadowlands. I highly doubt they'll keep them because it is a borrowed power system, but who knows? They've done it in Legion where they've kept abilities such as Wake of Ashes for paladins. I can't remember any of the others, not going to lie. Wake of Ashes is the one that stands out to me. But I would very much like to see these spells kept, and I will revisit this question when I've had time to look over every single spell, because it's quite daunting seeing about 20,000 plus spells on Wowhead and trying to figure out what it is that I actually would bring back and what I deem as a fun ability and what others might deem as an annoying one, etc. But these would be my choices to keep if I wanted to, or if I had a voice in saying, this is what should go on to the next expansion, etc. Or something of these variations at the very least, because they do have very unique spells here and it would be a shame for them to go to waste. So let's move on to the Mage Tower. What is the Mage Tower? So it is a tower for mages. All right, that's it. Thank you all very much for listening. So pretty much, the Mage Tower was introduced in Legion. I think it was 9.2. It was introduced. Yeah, no, not 9.2, 7.2. Patch 7.2. It was introduced with the Broken Shore, and it was one of 3 buildings that you could help construct by using a certain currency on the Broken Shore. And what this Mage Tower was effectively was the end of a quest chain for your specific specialization. So we'll get to the challenges and stuff like that later, and what challenges were with each specialization. But you would do a long quest chain, and this would be an individual effort, and you would be thrown into a scenario, one of 7, I believe. And these were some really tough solo content challenges. This is when you had your artifact power. This is when you had your artifacts really high. You had multiple legendaries as well and stuff like that. And these were still really tough with the legendaries. Now, with the Mage Tower in Legion Timewalking, you do not have this luxury. All, borrowed power is taken away from you. So this includes your covenants abilities. This includes any sort of legendary set bonuses, stuff like that. So absolutely everything is off limits. So you've got Shadowlands legendary gear, Shard of Domination, Azerite effects, Legion legendaries, Warlord of Draenor ring legendaries, Mists of Pandaria legendaries, tier sets, and more. It's something, I will say that. But all of these things, or at least the Legion legendaries, were allowed in the Mage Tower. So I don't quite understand why they're not allowing that. I think it's more for the fairgrounds sort of thing. So obviously, some people might not have played Legion. Some people might not have even started playing WoW in Legion or before that. So they wouldn't have had these legendaries compared to, say, 50, 60%, maybe less, maybe more, who knows. But if 50% have Legion legendaries and 50% don't, suddenly it becomes a lot tougher for the people without the legendaries than it does with the legendaries and stuff like that. Now, they obviously have to do scaling with the Mage Tower because it is old content. So what they do is they set everyone's item level and gear to the same level. So everything above item level 50 will automatically be scaled down to item level 50 when you enter these scenarios. And this can go with any piece of gear, but anything below item level 50 will just stay as what it is now. So what people would tend to do is they would buy loads of different gems or loads of old gear where you could put gem sockets in them. Gems are used to enhance your character even further, and what this would allow is these gems wouldn't scale, so you would get their full benefit, which means that your character is, say, getting a 25% increase in just their damage, their health, or something like that. So obviously Blizzard nerfed this, and you can no longer do it. I believe that the better gems are scaled down now and won't be as useful. This is the same for enchants. So Crusader enchant was also nerfed and stuff like that. But I will give you the dates now. I forgot to do so at the start. The Mage Tower will be up during the entirety of Legion Timewalking, and that is from the 7th of December to the 4th of January. So you've got quite a bit of time to do this. It will only be every several months that you can do Legion Timewalking, so definitely don't miss out. Like, at least attempt it while it's up. It is some of the best content that I would recommend that you do. It's some of the most fun content that I think has ever been added to the game. So that is purely based on the scenarios that you're given, because it really pushes your character and your skills as a player to the limit. I've played WoW for how many years now? I've said it in multiple podcasts, but I think about, we'll just go with 10 plus years. It's 11 plus years, actually. Maybe 12. Oh my god. It might be even like 13. I think it might be 13. Oh my lord. Yeah, I'm going to go with 13. Around 13 years. And I would like to consider myself very decent at the game. In terms of the skill level, I'm maybe above average. Now, I might not do it in arenas, I feel like I can learn very quickly, I will say that. But these Mage Tower scenarios are really difficult. They will push you to your limit. They will test how much mental strength you have, to be honest. So what Blizzard have done is they seem to have over-tuned them. And obviously there's going to be a bit of numbers that they'll have to figure out. But in doing this time walking, they've scaled everything down. But because we're not allowed to use borrowed power, such as Legion legendaries, they didn't take this into account, and they have basically made the challenges very tough, or certain challenges very tough. Now, ones that I do know have been very difficult and talked about is the Guardian Druid and just the tanking scenario as a whole. The healing one is also very tough, apparently, for certain classes. But the DPS ones are tough, but they, I would say, are a lot easier than what, healers and tanks have to deal with right now. So I'll put this into perspective in terms of how long it would take you. Now, they've nerfed it a couple times already, and some nerfs didn't make sense, some did, and yeah, it's Blizzard. They need to get the numbers right sometimes. But the day that this came out, I did it on the very first day. It took me 8+ hours, and it took me about 20 or 200,000 gold on consumables, on gear, on enchants, on everything. Mostly consumables, though. 200k, which is pretty much all my gold at the time. I don't make a lot of gold in retail. It's just passive for me. And a lot of time spent hitting my head against the same boss over and over and over and over and over and over. It took me about 200 attempts. It's absolutely insane. So to be honest, I didn't mind it. I found it really enjoyable. I found it some of the most engaging content that I've had since the Mage Tower in Legion. I really enjoyed it. I loved the challenge. The challenge is what made it for me. I knew that they were going to nerf it. I knew 100% the day that it came out. I said to myself, this is going to get nerfed. This is like insanely tough. It was almost like impossible at points, I swear. But I knew that I wanted to be able to beat it before it got nerfed, because I wanted that sense of achievement of, yeah, I did it. It's pretty easy. Yeah, that kind of thing. So it's the challenge that made it fun for me. Now, people might not like the challenge. People might just want to do it for the rewards. And the rewards that you get for the Mage Tower aren't anything special. I'm not going to lie. They aren't amazing compared to what you got in Legion from the Mage Tower. So in Legion, you got multiple weapon appearances and stuff like that for your artifact. For Druids, you got a werebear, you got a glowing cat, you got different forms and stuff like that. It's amazing. Now, the Druid one was very much at the forefront of most things because it had something extra along with the gear set, the tier set reward from the Legion Timewalking, and that is a new werebear. These bears are very buff front legs, and they sort of stand taller than other bears. It's a different bear form, and it's very rare, to be honest. It's very, very rare. So everyone wanted it, and it was very tough as a Guardian Druid. It's ridiculous. So I'm going back a bit, but like I said, people were going to old raids to collect gear that would be better in time walking scenarios. They wouldn't be using their current gear scaled down. They would be using old gear that was just better than their scaled down gear. So an example of this is the gear that I used. I used a trinket from the Emerald Nightmare raid in Legion, so 2 expansions before the current expansion. I used a couple legendary items from Legion, purely because they had 3 sets of stats instead of, say, 2, so I got a bit more stats out of that. I used my Legion weapon as well, my Legion artifact weapon, because it was better. I could put 2 consumables on it and stuff like that. So a lot of people were going out their way to do old content and stuff just to collect gear for this time walking. And I did it on my warrior as well. By the way, so much easier than the Guardian Druid one. I spent however many hours I said, however many attempts on the Guardian one, and I did the warrior one in 10 attempts within an hour. Honestly, it was ridiculous. But even on that one, I used old gear from old raids. I used Shadowmourne, which was from Icecrown Citadel, the legendary, and I just gemmed it. I literally just gemmed it, put a Crusader enchant on it, and I walked in there and killed it. It was that simple. Now, Wrath of the Lich King was 4 expansions before Legion, and this weapon was doing work for me, like really good work. So that's better than my scaled down weapon from Legion, pretty much. All because I could enchant it with a good enchant, and because I could socket it with 3 gems, I believe. That's the reason. Because certain enchants that are invalid now within the game suddenly become valid with reason, and they have a reason and a purpose now for time walking, which is, I find, great. I think that that's absolutely amazing, to be honest, because it's content that you've got in the game already that isn't being used, or very rarely. Like, it's insanely rare how much you actually use it. But it's really good that it gets used now, and that it's being bought and sold, and it has a purpose in the current game, even though it might be, 15 years old, like the Crusader enchant and stuff. It's insane. And that's really good. That's really good, and it brings it to life a bit more. And it brings the economy and the market, the auction house and stuff all into it again. And it's really good. It's really good fun. Do have to mention the auction house, though. It kind of crashed, didn't it? Anyone who did the Mage Tower on the first day will know what I'm talking about. So everyone was looking up guides and stuff, and obviously a lot of the guides say to use these consumables. Now, if you go around, you dig on the auction house and buy 10 of these consumables, another, say, 5,000 people on your server are buying 10 of these consumables as well. Suddenly there's 50,000 consumables gone. You didn't do it within the 10 attempts. You got to go back, get another 10. 40,000 or 4,000 of these people didn't do it within the first 10 attempts. Another 4,000 go, or 40,000. So you can see where this is going. There was nothing on the auction house on that first day at the end of it. It was insane. I decided to level my alchemy to try and get some of the gold back that I lost. And there's a plant called Xenanthid from Najatar. It's one that's used in the flasks that a lot of people use in these Mage Tower scenarios. 600k for one herb. One herb. There was one herb on the auction house, 600k. No one's ever going to buy it. Everyone bought out the market for Xenanthid. It was hilarious. It was great fun to see. But, I mean, people could probably made like a massive profit just from selling stuff. I'm still making a profit from selling stuff that I made a week ago like due to the Mage Tower. It's insane. It's absolutely insane, and it's great. But this is why it brings it back to life, because it's content that some people might not have ever done. It's content that a lot of people enjoyed, and it's something that is a real challenge to people. It's something different. It's something completely different. You can walk into a raid and slam your head against a boss, but why do that when you got Mage Tower? You can do the same thing. It just every 5 seconds. Instead, you got to wait for everyone to get a food buff and stuff like that. It's really strange, because talking about raiding is something that I've never enjoyed. It's something that I don't feel any satisfaction from, killing a boss or whatever. It's like, yep, killed the boss, it's great fun, whatever. But Mage Tower is the exact same. You're going up against the same boss 200 plus times in some instances, and yet when you kill it, you don't get loot, you get more cosmetic stuff. So a werebear form for druids and a tier set as well, compared to gear to potentially make your character more powerful and do more damage and stuff. So it's really weird, but I do enjoy the Mage Tower more, 100 times more than raiding. And that's what I can't necessarily wrap my head around, because it's the same thing. Kind of. You're just hitting your head against the same boss, but oh well. I'm doing it of my own accord, to be honest. I do have to say, if you're looking to do the Mage Tower, the rewards are alright. Some of them look nice, some of the tier sets, but don't get frustrated if you can't do it. Do it for the enjoyment of it, not for the frustration or whatever. Don't do it if you know that your blood pressure is going to go through the roof because you can't kill it after 50 attempts. Go into it thinking that you'll need 200 attempts, and you won't go insane in that damn Mage Tower. Trust me. After I did 150 attempts on this, I started laughing every time I died. It's one of them things. You go so crazy that you're not upset, you're not angry, you just laugh. It's one of them things. And you just got to realize that shit will happen in the Mage Tower. I was on a run with Shadowlands gear only and no consumes, and he had about 4 or 8% left, and I knew that I could do it. I had everything that I needed in the right place, and I literally fell down a crack in the floor. This crack definitely couldn't fit my druid bear arse down there, and yet I've fallen through it. And it's one of them things where I just had to laugh. I just had to laugh. It's actually on my YouTube. that attempt, or not the attempt as a whole, just me falling down the crack in the floor. And I'll probably remember that. I'll probably remember that for a while, because it was very entertaining, to be honest. But let me get to the challenges that are within the Mage Tower. So you have several. So you have 7 in total. You have Closing the Eye, which is killing Archmage Xylem. You have an impossible foe called Agartha. God Queen's Fury is Sigrun. Fell Totem's Fall is Tugar Blood Totem. Thwarting the Twins is Raced Mage Spear. High Lord's Return is High Lord Cruel. And the End the Risen Threat, Lord Erdis Thorn. Some of them were not quite sitting right in my mind there. So the first one, Closing the Eye, is for Frost Death Knights, Havoc Demon Hunter, Survival Hunter, Subtlety Rogue, and Arms Warrior. This is one where you're just jumping around, you're dodging some stuff, and it's quite simple. You just got to utilise the uptime that you get on the boss. It's very simple, to be honest. An impossible foe is an Imp Mother, and this is for Unholy Death Knights, Feral Druids, Fire Mage, Outlaw Rogue, Elemental Shaman, and Fury Warrior. This one is just killing ads and not, it's kind of a DPS check. You just got to deal with it. It's not too hectic, in all honesty. The DPS ones I don't think are too hectic. They are very simple when it comes down to them. But if you do put a foot wrong, you will die. And that's what I kind of like. You have to play kind of perfect, in a way. The God Queen's Fury is Sigrin, and it is Arcane Mage, Retribution Paladin, Assassination Rogue, Enhancement Shaman, and Demonology Warlock. This one I find quite fun because it can be cheesed in some ways. I've watched multiple videos of Arcane Mages killing it within 2 minutes when it's meant to be more of a 5-minute fight. It's quite funny, I'm not going to lie. But, what can you do? Fell Totem's Fall is Beast Mastery Hunter, Windwalker Monk, Discipline Priest, and Destruction Warlock. Now, this one is killing 2 mobs and, dodging stuff, killing ads and stuff like that. What strikes me as weird here, though, is that Discipline Priest is in amongst DPS. So, DPS challenges, obviously, are a DPS thing, but Discipline Priest is interesting because you don't have an interrupt, you don't have anything to sort of really... There's different ways to deal with mechanics within the fight, and they do take into account each specialization that is in the fight, and it will have a workaround. But it's just quite funny seeing Discipline Priest in amongst all of these DPS classes when there's no other healer anywhere close to these DPS ones. Is quite funny to see. Thwarting the Twins is Balance Druid, Marksmanship Hunter, Frost Mage, Shadow Priest, and Affliction Warlock. The High Lord's Return is Cruel. This is the tank challenge. This is Blood Death Knight, Vengeance Demon Hunter, Guardian Druid, Brewmaster Monk, Protection Paladin, and Protection Warrior. This is the one that caused so much pain to so many people. It's quite funny. So many people have probably wiped at 2%, 1%. Some people might not be able to get past phase 1. Some people might not be able to get past phase 2. Yeah, whatever. If you've done this and you've done it before it was nerfed, then you will know the pain of this damn scenario. It was enjoyable. I'm not going to lie. It was really enjoyable. It was enjoyable beating it, God's sake. The way that they nerfed it is a bit weird, though. So, and the final one is for healers, besides Discipline Priest. It is Erdris, Lord Erdris Fawn. And that is Restoration Druid, Mistweaver Monk, Holy Paladin, Holy Priest, and Restoration Shaman. Now, these are obviously, the healer challenge, but healers also had it very rough at the start with nerf, or with it being overtuned. You have to guide a group through a Blackroot Hold tower and stuff like that, and you've got to keep the group alive. Now, you've got a few NPCs, one of them being Granny, and I've seen a lot of funny clips where people were just yelling at Granny for dying in one shot. A lot of the mobs in the party were getting one shot, and it was quite funny. You've got to use a lot of cooldowns preemptively, and it does look like fun, I'm not going to lie. So I might give that a go. But no, I think it's worthwhile doing these. I think it's definitely a fun way to just drive yourself insane, in a way. But I think it's good to see them. I think it's good to see them in terms of how they are and what they gave to Legion. I think it's good to see something that you might like, and you might actually enjoy seeing how far you can push yourself in these challenges, because they don't have these anymore in the game. The closest thing that you have to this is Mythic Plus, but in that you are in a group and it's not just you, it's not solo content. So you can really push yourself solo to see how you can do this. And I think it's fun seeing that because you know where your mistakes lie. You know how you learn. You know how to get better. And it's just you. You can take a break. You can watch YouTube on the side. You can do whatever. It's great fun. And it's very rare that you get content like this. Solo content that is proven, I think, to be very popular among the community. Now, it might not be popular at the moment because it's a little overtuned for people, but yeah, it was popular in Legion and it's something that's not been replicated ever since. Maybe Torghast, but I don't think people enjoy Torghast as much as they did the Mage Tower, to be honest. So, if you complete one of these, you will get the class tier 20 set as a recolor. And if you complete this as a Guardian Druid as well, you get the tier set plus the Werebear form. For completing all 7 unique Mage Tower challenges, you get the achievement A Tour of Towers, and you get a new mount, which is called the Mage-bound Spell Tome. Now, this is a flying book, and I think it looks sick. I think it looks amazing. I think it's definitely worth having a look and seeing if you want to push yourself through these challenges, because I think the mount for me might be worth it, so I'm definitely going to be looking to do it. I've done 2 out of 7, but I'm going to start in the coming week or over the course of the weekend and look to really push it and stuff like that and see what I can do. I've just been helping out with sort of Guardian Druid guides at the moment, because that one seemed to be a little bit tough for some people. So the extra guides that I've put out on YouTube might just help them and stuff like that. And that's all I want to do, really. So yeah, that will wrap up this week. I was going to do a whole WoW news this week, but I think the Mage Tower kind of had its own idea. Seeing what's happened over the week, it's been something and it's been quite funny. But we will do WoW news next week, and it might not be as long as this one or ones that you're used to, as I believe the podcast will go up on Christmas Eve. I don't think I've got my dates wrong. So still keep an eye out for it. It will still be a good episode. If you haven't already, do check out the YouTube and everything like that. It's honestly, I posted a couple guides there for the Guardian Druid one, and I've been getting a lot of comments and stuff, and any more comments is great fun to see. I love interacting with everyone that I can. So head on over there. I stream regularly, getting a few more followers on the stream. So again, check it out. Just hop in, chill out. It's all good fun. Thank you all very much for listening, as always, and go with Valor, friends.